So another like a fascinating thing about Lego series play is that it creates like a special connection between our brain and our hand. Can you tell us more about it, and how does it actually help teams?
So, if anyone has ever heard about LSP, in some of the scientific literature, they talk about the brain-to-hand connection. And what does that mean? Yeah, it's a bit confusing. So the analogy I would use is this. Have you ever seen the movie Titanic?
Yep.
So in the movie Titanic, the ship gets sunk by the iceberg. And in psychology, they call this the iceberg theory. Now, what can you tell me about the iceberg? You know, it's very, very big, right? But you don't really see very much of the whole thing. Majority of it, maybe 80-90% of the total volume of the iceberg is under the surface, and only the top 10 or 20% is above the surface. Now, what does that represent? It actually represents us. It's a metaphor for us in life and in work. At all times, we're only aware of maybe 10 or 20%. Yeah, because we have limited mental resources. Brain is really lazy. It doesn't like to keep too many open tabs. So it keeps a few processes running, but the majority of things, like why we say what we say, why we do what we do, our habits, our mental processes, they're still running, but they're running under the surface in autopilot. So what this means is sometimes when we encounter a problem at work, like, my stakeholders are very they don't understand me. I'm having a communication breakdown at work. I have issues with timetabling and my task management and all that stuff. This is stuff that we're aware of. And when we solve our problems, we're trying to use only that 10 or 20% of available space and attention that is available to us. So that's the brain, yeah? And the hand knowledge is the idea that what if you could activate not only your conscious brain, but also your subconscious brain, all the embedded and embodied processes that actually are running in the background, are percolating, analyzing, feeling, thinking, processing. And the brain-hand connection is the idea that maybe I don't have the words right now, Hamid and Nadir, but if you give me something like a piece of paper, or if you give me a piece of Lego, a few pieces of Lego, my hands can actually work on these in real time. And what's happening is my body is actually working through the problem in parallel with my brain at the same time. So that's the brain-hand connection. Let's say, for example, you talk about creating a 5-star customer service experience. Okay, it might take me a while to say, well, what are the traits or characteristics of a 5-star customer service experience? I may have maybe 10-20% available to me right now, but in my body, in my subconscious, it has some knowledge, it has some ideas. So if I ask you to describe what is 5-star customer service, I can tell you maybe 10 things. But if instead I said, use the Lego, build me a model or an image that represents 5-star customer service to you, and you build it, and then you have to explain it and tell a story about it, then instead of talking about 5 things or 10 things, now you're talking about 20 or 30 things. It actually looks like this. It feels like this. This is the size, this is the dimension. This is how it feels on our side. This is how it feels to the receiver or the customer. And suddenly all these unspoken beliefs and values and assumptions, they all come to the surface. So that's the idea of brain-hand. The brain knows, but sometimes it doesn't really get to speak what it wants. But the hand knows, and the hand has no such mental filter. It just builds what it wants to build.
Perhaps my next question would be, where do you think Lego Serious Play actually shines? What type of problems, what kind of scenarios that this would be most effective?
I think Lego Serious Play as a methodology works best when everyone in the session is either in the same team or at the same level of responsibility. Let's say assistant manager level or senior managers. And the reason for that is you can use Lego Serious Play in 2 different ways. You can use it to install and transfer concepts and knowledge. So that would be more of Lego Serious Play for education and training. But the real star power of Lego Serious Play is where you take it beyond a theory and you actually use it in a genuine brainstorming, strategy, or problem-solving meeting. Meaning it's not theory, it's practical, and you use it as a real-time metaphor and methodology to solve your problems. And this is a scenario that I had from one of my contacts who is also an LSP facilitator. He was called in to do a conflict management session. Conflict management. And before he went in for the session, he thought that it would just be a training. I'm going to teach you about conflict management and resolution methodology using Lego. But when he spoke to the PIC, he got to understand that actually, that's not what they were looking for. It turns out that there actually was a dispute going on between multiple teams, specifically the section heads of different departments. They all had the same goal, but the method that they wanted, the way they approached the problem was very, very different. So it was a very bizarre scenario. It's like the left hand doesn't want to do what the right hand is doing. So when he went in, he had a choice. I can teach you the concept or the theory, and then who knows whether you can resolve the conflict or not. Or I can use that one day to actually help you. I will be the moderator, I'll be your adjudicator, I'll be your facilitator, and in this room, we're going to all have it out using Lego as a way to talk about what's going on, what's the issue. That is where Lego really stands out.
It's interesting that you one of the things that you mentioned is strategic thinking, right? When we think about strategic thinking workshops, right, what comes to our mind is a lot of brainstorming, a lot of ideas, whiteboards, sticky notes, messy stuff, right?
Transparent glass windows and all that
exactly, stuff. Sticky notes on your face, right? But when it comes to like Lego serious play, it talks about strategic landscape. Tell us more about it.
So remember what I said about building a metaphor, right? So that's for an individual level. Now in Lego Serious Play methodology, there are 7 different levels. Yeah, we call them AT, level 1 until level 7. AT1, the lowest level, is build something based on my own personal subjective experience. Level 3 is as a team of 3 or 4 people, we're going to discuss, we're going to work together, and we're going to build one shared model. As you get to the higher levels, you're basically involving more and more decision makers and more participants, and now they're building a shared landscape. So now, let's say if I'll just give a past example. If I'm an automotive manufacturer, yeah, and I'm building a strategic landscape, I'm not going to be building a model that represents me as an individual contributor. Instead, I'll use the Lego to create a very abstract, high-level representation of our business, finance department, operations, warehousing, inventory, supply chain, vendors and suppliers. And you know what? We'll even plug in our competitors. Yeah, China brands, US brands, Korean brands, Japanese brands. And that's what we call the strategic landscape. Because when we're drawing these things out on paper and using Venn diagrams and waterfall charts and doing force field analysis, these are all just words. But if I can actually, with my team, create a landscape of where we are, what we have right now, plant production capacity, dealerships, and if I can do a historical analysis of, okay, here's where we are now, what led us here, and what's going on right now, I can use the Lego to build what we call agents in the landscape. How do they interfere and how do they have an influence on other parts of the landscape? Now, what do I get to see? I get to see hidden opportunities. I get to see that, oh, actually, there's a thing here that we thought was not very important, but it turns out that it connects to all these other parts of the landscape. Maybe we should focus more attention there. And that is how I can get a better outcome. So that's what we mean by strategic landscape. You are literally building a landscape representing strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats for your business.